All right, it's time to take a look at ISO number 16. And for ISO number 16, let's take a look at our overall dimensions here. This is going to be really important. So I'm going to start with the width. The width goes from here all the way to there, and that is 8 units. The depth goes essentially from here to there, which is 5 units. And then the overall height of this thing is 10 units. This is really interesting to figure out. This is one of those more difficult ones to figure out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along this area here, or this line right here, and go all the way up until I get to the very top of my circle. And you have to notice that this is the top edge of your circle. So I'm going to go all the way up to there. That is 9 units. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, and one more is 9 units. And then, of course, down here we have one more, which would be a 10th unit. So, again, this is 8 by 10 by 5, essentially. All right, so let's go into Onshape, and I'm going to go to my 20 ISOs, and we're going to make a new one. This will end up being ISO number 16. All right, so I'm actually going to start by drawing the base. So I'm going to draw on the top plane. And that base, again, is 8 by 5. My document, I'm just going to check my units here. Yep, we're in centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to dimension that. So if I dimension this, that's my depth, that's going to be 5 units. This one is my width, that's going to be 8 units. That sketch is done. Let's extrude that. And I only need to go 1 unit for this one. And then I'll view like that. All right, so there's kind of that bottom surface right there. And so the next thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle on here to start to grow. All right, so this is, notice that's a plane that I put on the top surface. And I'm going to do a corner point rectangle and go from there to there. And I need to dimension that as well. What I'm trying to do here is get essentially this shape right here, and then I can do stuff to it to add the rounding. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to dimension this, and that needs to be 2 units deep, and this needs to be 4 units wide. And then I also need to dimension from here to there, and that needs to be 2 units. All right, good. So there's that. Now I'm going to extrude that part. So I already did, if you remember, I already did 1 unit, and the overall height is 10, so I need to go 9 more units. All right, there. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Has a good start. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there's lots of ways to do this, but because I want this shape to kind of work in a very special way, so I'm going to sketch on here. I want this shape to obey or to adhere to kind of a pattern that if I have to make it fatter or skinnier, it'll do that pattern still. So I'm actually going to create that circular head by starting with a point. All right, so I'm going to draw a point right there. And you'll notice that I ended up making it so that it was centered horizontally. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension that point. I'm going to put that point exactly where I want it to be. And I want it to be 2 units from that edge. And then, I'll get off of that. gonna move this around a little bit. There we go. And then it's already 2 units from the other edges because of making it be in the middle. So if I look at that point constraint, I'm gonna take that off. If I look at that point, you'll notice it has a vertical constraint, meaning it's constrained to this area here as well, or that line specifically. And then, so that means it's gonna stay there in the middle. And that's really where I want it. So I'm gonna, I'm not done with my sketch, but I'm gonna leave that there. So now I'm gonna go in and make a circle. And I'm doing a circle because I'm gonna end up having to do a couple different things. So I'm gonna do that for now. And then I am going to make, just curious, what happens if I select this and make, can I make those coincident? No, I can't do that. All right, so this, I'm gonna make that dimension be 2 units. Or not 2, 4. All right, perfect. So there's that, and then I need to make another circle that's 2 units. All right, there's that. So now I'm going to finish that sketch, and I'm going to do an extrude. And the first extrude I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two, and I am going to make them remove. And I actually want to select that surface too. All right, so I'm going to remove all of that at the same time. Or I could, well, yeah, we'll just leave it like that. So check mark there. Now I want to still see that sketch that I made because I'm going to use that sketch to do another extrude. I'm going to extrude that ring out, and that's going to be 2 units. Check. All right, so now I was able to extrude that ring out. That makes everything a lot better. All right, so then the last thing I need to do is, I'm going to hide that sketch. I need to get the fillets going here. Let's start with the first couple. I'm going to, oops, I don't want to extrude. I'm going to do a fillet. I'm going to do that edge and that edge right there. If I look on my sheet, the center of those is right here. Okay, so that's actually a, whoa, that's pretty cool. That's actually a 1.5 unit distance. So I want to be careful to make that 1.5 units from center out to the edge, or the radius. So I'm going to make that 1.5. Check. All right, that looks good. And then I also need to, nope, I also need to fillet that edge and that edge. Those are going to be bigger. Those are actually 2 units each to make that flange out a little bit. Check. Then I've got one more sketch to make so that I can make holes. So I'm going to do a new sketch on the top surface of that. Okay, so I'm drawing, just so you can see, I'm going to turn off some things here. Turn these off. All right, so I'm drawing on that surface right there, okay? And I'm going to draw a point. And I'm going to click and drag because I want it to be right there at the center point for that arc, and I want another one at the center point of that arc. And then I want to make a hole. Oops, I don't need to do that. I need to finish that sketch, and now I can make a hole. Right there and right there. And they need to be 1 centimeter holes. Okay, can reorient it. I'm gonna do, I'll check that, make it isometric. All right, that looks like